You know, inside every big industrial plant, there are these massive vessels holding fluids and gases under just enormous pressure. They're kind of like silent giants, doing their job day in and day out. But what's stopping them from, well, failing catastrophically? Turns out the answer is a set of critical, often invisible safety systems, and they're all governed by a very specific roadmap of rules. So let's take a look at that map.
I know, it's a pretty dramatic question, right? But it's literally the job of a process safety engineer. Because when things go wrong inside a plant, maybe a valve gets stuck shut, a pump fails, a fire breaks out, that pressure can build up incredibly fast. So how do you safely handle all that energy and stop a disaster before it starts?
Well, the solution isn't just one magic device or some single golden rule. It's actually a really well-coordinated system of documents. Think of it as a roadmap that guides engineers through a very specific step-by-step process. It's like having a series of guidebooks that all build on each other to create one complete, robust safety plan. So where do we even start on this journey? Well, the first stop on our map isn't about how to protect a vessel, but why you absolutely have to. This is the legal foundation for the entire system. And that right there is the key. This isn't just a good idea or some best practice. It is a non-negotiable legal requirement. The ultimate authority that lays down this law is the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME. They're the ones who write the book that says, "You shall protect this vessel," period. And this is a perfect example of how the whole system works together. This quote, it's actually from an API standard, but what's it doing? It's pointing you directly back to the ASME Boiler and Pressure Vessel Code, specifically Section VIII, Division 1. It's basically saying, ASME is the boss. This establishes them as the bedrock. So step 1 is crystal clear. Protection is mandatory. Okay, so now we know we have to protect the vessel. The next question is, what are we protecting it from? This is where our roadmap takes a turn from the why to the what if. This is where the American Petroleum Institute standard, API 521, steps in. You can think of it as the guidebook for brainstorming all the credible ways pressure could build up to a dangerous level. It forces engineers to think about every possible failure, what we call an overpressure scenario. And the list of possibilities is pretty long. We're talking about everything from something as simple as a blocked pipe to a fire raging outside and heating up the vessel, a tube rupturing inside a heat exchanger, a total plant power outage, or even something as simple as a pipe full of liquid just sitting out in the sun and expanding. API 521 makes you consider all of it. Now, this brings us to a really important engineering principle, and it's called double jeopardy. What API 521 says is that you design for one thing to go wrong at a time. The system isn't expected to handle two totally independent, unrelated failures happening at the exact same instant. So, for example, a fire breaks out, and at the exact same time, for a completely unrelated reason, a heat exchanger tube bursts inside. That's double jeopardy. Engineers don't have to design for that. This rule is super important because it keeps the design process focused on credible, single-point failures. It's really a cornerstone of the whole safety philosophy. All right, so we've used our roadmap to identify a credible risk. Let's say it's that blocked outlet. The next logical question is, what do we do about it? Exactly how big does our safety valve need to be to handle that specific problem? And that brings us to the next stop. This is where we get into the math. API 520, Part 1, is basically the engineer's calculation handbook. It is filled with the detailed formulas you need to figure out the right size for that pressure relief valve. For every single scenario we identified with API 521, there's a specific set of equations in API 520 we use to calculate the fix. And trust me, these are not simple back-of-the-napkin calculations. To get the right answer, you have to know all these very specific properties of the fluid inside that vessel. I mean, look at this chart. It shows things like vapor pressure, temperature, and latent heat of vaporization. All of this detailed data has to get plugged into those API 520 equations to make sure that the relief device is sized absolutely perfectly for that one worst-case scenario. Okay, we're at the final stop on our main roadmap. We've got the legal mandate, we've figured out the risks, and we've done the math to size our safety device. But here's the thing. A perfectly sized valve is totally useless if it isn't installed correctly out in the field. This is where our last guidebook, API 520 Part 2, becomes so critical.
It gives you the rules for taking that perfectly engineered device and making sure it actually works in the real world. It covers the whole shebang, from the piping that goes into the valve to the piping that comes out of it.
And you can see just how practical and down-to-earth these rules are. For example, the piping has to be designed to handle the massive force, the thrust, of all that fluid blasting out. Or making sure that the small pipes from each valve enter a main header from the top so liquid can't flow back and block it. And you've got to avoid any low spots in the piping where liquid could get trapped. I mean, these details are literally the difference between a system that works and one that doesn't. So let's just tie it all together. This is the engineer's workflow, our roadmap. It all starts with the legal mandate from ASME. Then you use API 521 to identify all the risks. Next, API 520 Part 1 helps you calculate the size of the solution. And finally, API 520 Part 2 makes sure it's all put together correctly. It's a logical, robust, and proven path to safety.
You know, this entire framework we've walked through is the result of decades and decades of learning, sometimes from really tragic failures, and it's always evolving. The standards today are already including more advanced methods, things like dynamic simulation and what they call high-integrity instrumented systems, or HIPS. It just makes you wonder, right? As our technology gets smarter and smarter, what will the safety roadmap of the future even look like?